it's fundamentally we have these primordial systems like of desire, appetite, for social status, for competition, for procreation, for food, etc. And these evolved for conditions very different from the ones we live in now. And then we don't live it, and now we don't live in a neutral society. We live kind of in a bizarre captivity where we're continually advertised at, where our desires are stimulated continually and where our fears are constantly stoked. So, we've got this primal setting, like, that we're trying to deal with. We've got these external modalities that are very manipulative and overstimulating. And I feel that both the 12 steps and, as you say, the path of a yogi is a way of managing these own primordial desires and these external influences and finding some place of truth, or at least connection, within those two competing forces.
Yes, along with a community of people to help you along.
Yeah, because alone it's too much.
I don't know how anyone could do that alone. So what we need to combat what's coming at us and to essentially transcend it is we need a very powerful set of practices and philosophies and community that help us along through that. Interesting that this group of people who are struggling with addiction, generally speaking, are very sensitive beings. So not only are we being bombarded, but we're even that much more sensitive. We're aware of it. We feel it. We may feel it as intense sadness or loneliness, or we may feel a sense of disconnectedness, or I don't belong anywhere here. Or it might just be, wow, I'm so deeply moved by the suffering of other people. I despair of it ever, making progress on this point. So we're sensitive people, and we need a program, we need a practice, we need a way forward, and we have to come together in community. And I guess in yoga, you would say the term for this is how to be in the world, but not of it. You play the game. You're in the world. You're fully aware of the vulnerability that you have to advertising and to other psychological elements that are around you and impacting you all day long. But at the same time, you're so aware of it, there's a detachment from it. You're like, okay, I'll play the game of Tommy Rosen. I'll play the game of Tommy Rosen. I know how Tommy Rosen would act here. I'll do that thing, but I'm not going to get too caught up in it. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, except I do get caught up. Like, I'm pretty good, but I vacillate quite a lot. I get to points where I think, wow, I can see this is a beautiful play, a charade, that all this apparent separateness is oneness. Like, I can go to attend a group of people in recovery and meditate. I can have like a wonderful yogic experience. I think this is it. This is the connection. Then I get in traffic and I'm like, oh, fuck you. It's like, oh, so like like the grid, the magnetism of the former me, whether that's exhibited in sort of sort of sexual impulse or anger impulse, it still feels very sort of resonant. Whatever that illusion was, it was a powerful one.
Yes. What you're saying is so critically important. It's really this natural progression. So anytime we come into a new way of thinking, let's just take the person who decides, okay, I drink too much. I'm not even going to use the word alcoholic, but I can see that drinking is affecting my life negatively. I'd like to stop. Yeah. Okay. So that person stops drinking. Now, all of a sudden, that person is going to experience, in those very next few days, they're going to experience a number of different emotions and experiences. One thing they're going to be thinking is, wow, I seem to be incredibly low energy. They're going to be their energy is going to be low, and they're going to be missing something that's been there for them. On a chemical note, what they're missing is sugar, because in the form of alcohol, they've been putting large amounts of sugar in their body, and now they're not. They're also going to be missing their community. If I go to the bar, I know I'm going to drink. Everybody I know goes to the bar. I can't go to the bar, therefore I'm going to be alone for a while. So there's a sense of loneliness. They're going to feel so many different things over that next few days that if they just stay by themselves and experience all these emotions, it isn't going to work out. All the time, they've got a vacillation taking place, like what you're describing. You've got new consciousness, meaning the consciousness of somebody who doesn't drink alcohol anymore and who is content with that. So you're messing around with that consciousness. Here I am. I've let go of alcohol. Now I'm in this new place. It's very natural. In fact, I don't know anybody who doesn't do this. When you come to the new consciousness, There's a vacillation back and forth, up and down. We call it, when the person goes back to a self-harming behavior, we call it relapse. But really what that is sometimes part of a natural vacillation. I've tried this. I don't know how to be steady in this new consciousness. I'm going to drop back down. Okay, that doesn't go so well. Come back again. I'm going to try here. Now, if you have practices and teachers and a community, they will help you to solidify yourself in that new level of consciousness. Now you're there. That's when you stop having cravings, for example, which for any alcoholic or addict, that's an unbelievable day when they wake up and realize, I don't actually think about using all the time anymore. In fact, it's rare. So they've now established themselves and they're steady at this new level of consciousness. Well, let's just say that's stage 1 recovery. There's another 100 or 1,000 or million stages beyond that. And what you're describing is exactly what happens at every new level of consciousness. No matter what you're facing or what you're trying to get to, my teacher would say, we're all beginners to our next step. Where every one of us is a beginner to our next step. On the yoga mat, if I'm trying to touch my toes and I can't touch my toes, that's just where I'm at today. Someday I'd like to be able to touch my toes. Someone else who can touch their toes, now they're trying to go even deeper than that. They're a beginner to that next move. So the question is, how do we get exposed to new ideas and a new level of consciousness, meaning seeing things differently? And then the next question is, and this is different skill set, how do I embody practices and philosophies that will help me to build solidity at the new level of consciousness?
You can see how that's a good exhibition, beautifully explained, by the way, of steps 1, 2, and 3. That's sort of like the 1, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. 2, okay, I see there could be another way. 3, I don't know how to sustain it. You tell me how to sustain it. Give me the practices, the community, the guidance in order to sustain it. With me, like both as an addict or recovering addict or whatever the hell it is I'm now, like it feels like continually that the spectrum and range has been broad. Like there are certain situations that I can be in. I don't know. I sometimes think that we're people that should have been tapped on the shoulder by a Tibetan monk at 4 years old, and they go, come this way, the material world's never going to work for you. You need to come live with us in the temple. Because like me, when I'm in certain when I'm in the right environment, which is basically unbridled adulation, then I'm such a nice guy. Like on a stage in front of a lot of people being grateful to me. There is no me then. I am only flow. But what I've always found hard is to house that. Sometimes to come down from that experience. I've done some, when I do live work now, I'm thinking about these spiritual principles. I'm trying to convey it. I'm trying to get out of the way and just allow it to come, as I'm sure you do as a teacher. Just like think, it will come through me. I do it. And then then for me, like one of my mentors says, for you, the spiritual life, no problem. For you, the real world is the problem. How do you now, you're going to have to deal with people, their needs, their requirements, your own shortcomings, your own failings. It's like part of me yearns for, or sometimes think requires, a monastic kind of life where I'm simply not confronted with these unnatural influences such as sitting in traffic, being confronted with semi-pornographic imagery. I need a monastery.
Yes. Well, you can take respite at periods of time in your life to get perspective. But the simple fact is you're in this frame.
Right. This is where we've ended up, isn't it, Tommy?
You're in this physical frame. And so you have spirit and you have the physical, and it's a contentious marriage, really. That's the contentious marriage. There's a part of you and I, and almost all of us feel, and we can't shake this, that it should be different. That this should be some other way.
What is that feeling?
I should not be triggered by semi-pornographic images. I should not be triggered in traffic. I mean, every time I get online at the DMV, get on customer service with Frontier Communications, all of my yoga flies out the window. I recognize it as part of who I am. I can gesture myself forward for grace. I can try. And when I fall short of that, I just smile and I just say, I'm doing the absolute best I can within the chemical reality of this 5 sensory nervous system, which has been tuned a certain kind of way. And my job is to continue to try to tune it into greater and greater experiences of ease and grace while not judging myself when I fall short.
Well, that's pretty cool. I'm trying to do that.